Hello everyone and welcome back to another Dashcam installation video. In this video I'll be installing a Koonlong K1S dashcam into a Volkswagen Up. It's a dashcam with both a front and a rear camera, so it's a dual channel system. As part of the installation I'll hardwire it all to the fuse box behind there. So it will get turned on when the ignition is turned on and turned off when the ignition is turned off. As part of this installation I'll show you the work of finding a spot for the rear camera and the work of trying to hide all the wires so it will be as hidden as possible. Up here in the front I'll mount the forward facing camera behind the rear view mirror. I'll take you along the process of finding a good spot and the process of hiding all the wiring, both from the rear view camera and the front facing camera. This particular system, besides the two cameras, contains a control box which the two cameras are wired into. So I want to find a good spot for the control box, which ideally for me would be located very close to the power source. So the first thing I want to make sure is that I can find the desired fuse that I need, which only has power when the ignition is turned on. This particular car has 3 fuse boxes located around the car, so if I don't have luck here, I'll need to try another spot. So what I do here, I just take a simple LED bulb. It could be a standard bulb as well. Just make sure it has a low power draw. And then I connect the one wire to ground or to the frame of the car. And then I take the other terminal and try different fuses. And you can see that the bulb lights up. And the ignition is turned off right now, so I know when the bulb lights up now, it's fuses which always have power. So I need to find one that doesn't light up, and then test that with the ignition both on and off. And you can see here I have one, the fourth to the left, and in a second I'll turn on the ignition. There we go, and then I can test that one. There we go, we have light, so now I know that this one is only on when the ignition is turned on, so that will be an ideal fuse for me to take. Now, having found a good fuse or a suitable power source for my control box, I can try to just do a quick fit-up test of the control box and see if that fits into the spot above the fuse box. You can see it's a bit of a fiddle, but it actually fits really well inside there. So now, having found a power source and a good spot for the control box, I can try to do a fit-up test of the two cameras. The forward-facing camera has a 3-meter wire, which is connected to the control box via micro USB. Being able to detach it from the control box is really handy when you try to do different tests and trying to find a location for the camera. So now I'm just trying to find different places. And my aim is to make it as hidden as possible, both from the driver's view and from the passenger view. Right there seems to be a good spot. So once having found possible places for the camera, hook up the camera to the control box and then turn it on and then see how the picture looks on it. So I didn't follow my own recommendation of trying to connect the camera to the control box and see how the picture looks, which was a bit of a mistake, which you will see in a bit when I do a small trial test or test run to see how the picture looks from the position of the camera. Getting the camera in is just mounted is just simply cleaning the window and then peeling off the protection on the adhesive tape and then pushing it towards the window. The thing to be aware of is trying to avoid air bubbles trapped inside the adhesive tape. And as you can see, I have a very big air bubble here, which is very obvious, and it will be very obvious from a distance as well. So a recommendation is to tilt the camera so you start at one end and then slowly take it from one end and then down to the other, so that you don't trap any air inside. So before I do a test run with both the front and rear camera, let's go ahead and mount the rear camera. Finding a spot in the rear isn't as obvious as in the front, where behind the rear view mirror is a very good and hittable location. So finding a spot here in the rear will take a bit more testing. This here was actually quite a good spot for when the tailgate was open. The plastic on the rear hatch would hide the camera, but from the outside and from the driver's view from the rear view mirror, the camera is very obvious, and it will also be very obvious for other drivers behind the car. So because finding a spot for the camera back here in the rear was a bit more work compared to in the front, I actually followed the recommendations from before of connecting the camera to the control box and then watching how the image looks. And right now I'm trying the camera up in the right top location of the hatch, which gives a pretty good image. Trying down here at the bottom of the window. So up there somewhere is probably the best location for it. Having found a spot you believe in, it's just a matter of cleaning the spot and then do a test and see how that looks. Included in the package there is additional adhesive tape, so you have a couple of runs for testing different places. Before you do the trial run, you can choose whether to take off the protective cover or not. Just note that if you don't take it off, the image quality might be a bit blurred, but honestly that doesn't matter for a test run. Once the camera is mounted, it's a lot easier to position the camera in the desired position, because you don't have to both hold the camera and trying to hold it and look at the image and so on. And then you can do different positions. So right now I'm just facing it a bit down towards the road so I can get the back of the tailgate, but I think I'll change that later on so it points more towards the traffic behind the car. So hooking everything up for the test run, you can see the front camera is already inside, and then the rear camera. There you go. And then up and get the GPS and then the power cord. So that's the GPS. It supplies both speed and position, so it can be plotted on a map later on. And it gives the data for speed on both speed and position on both front and rear camera. So as this is just a quick fit-up test, I'll use the standard plug that comes for your normal 12-volt outlet. No need to hardwire it all now, we can do that later on.
Recording started.
So as you just saw, both cameras came up on the control box, and then it's just a matter of testing it, driving a small trip, and then look at the video afterwards and see how that looks, and see if the initial positions is any good.
Recording started.
Yes, and now you clearly see why it would have been a really good idea to do a really quick video test of the position of the camera, because right now I have a very big piece of plastic to the right. So I'll need to find a new position for the front camera once I get back. As you may have noticed, there is no GPS data currently on the video, and that's because this is one of the initial startups of the camera, so it needs a bit more time to locate the position and the speed. I've had it up running for a week's time now, and it finds it within the first minute now. Okay, but being happy with the position of the rear camera, I'll go ahead and finalize the wiring on that one. So I'll have to wire it through the tailgate and then down under the ceiling and then pull it up towards the fuse box at the front. So all the way to the front I was able to hide the wire. The only place I needed to cut was back at the clip down here at the tailgate. So that's alright. So back to the front camera. I just took this piece of wood and peeled it between the windscreen and the mount, and then it came loose. So I just need to clean off the rest of the adhesive that didn't came off, and then apply a new pad. There we go. So I did some testing, and as you can see here, new position, new testing. So I had to move the camera a bit further down, but that was necessary in order to clear the big plastic on the city emergency brake system. So that's the new position. The other one was better, but I guess I have to live with that. And I managed to mount the adhesive without trapping air inside this time. The wiring in the front will be routed up to the ceiling and then tucked under the ceiling over to the A-pillar. You can see it's very soft, so it's a very easy job on this car. Here we have the two wires from the two cameras coming down the A-pillar, and this last bit down here of the A-pillar was actually the hardest part of the entire installation. Because the A-pillar is so rigid down here, I wasn't able to easily get the wire behind it. But in the end I managed, and this is the final result. You can see I have just bent the A-pillar there a bit, so that's a note for me for another installation if that should take place. And then having everything in place, it's always nice to do a test and see if it looks good. There we go. Nice picture, both front and rear. So being happy with the position of the cameras and the wiring, it's now time to hardwire the power cord to the fuse. So what I did is I bought like I don't know what it's called in English, but a fuse adapter which goes into your regular position of your fuse box, and then you attach your normal fuse, and then it creates another circuit which you then attach another fuse to. So you don't. The advantage of this is you don't need to cut or solder anywhere to the original wires in the car. So if you want to uninstall this, you could do it without having um, broken the original wiring. With the same philosophy as before, trying to do a fit-up test without or before doing the final install. I'm just trying to see if the wire will apply power to the control box after it's been cut. There we go. You could see it started up, so that means it's okay. Now on to soldering the fuse adapter to the wire to the control box. Here we are. Everything is in place. I've mounted the fuse adapter here with the existing fuse from the car, and then another fuse. I found a 3 amp fuse, which will be more than sufficient. You can see the system turns on when I turn on the ignition, just as it's supposed to. Start automatically recording. And turns off when the ignition is turned off. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the final result. Now, I haven't spent any time speaking of the performance of the camera, and I would recommend, if you want to learn more about it, you head over to YouTube and search for K1S, and then find Techmoan's review of it. But as you'll see, you saw the jump in the video there. I've already starting to encounter some problems with my camera, and in the first 3 or 4 days I had it running, it performed flawlessly, but then it starts to play a tune, and then it makes about a 10-second jump in the video. You could see there where there is no recording. And honestly, I don't know what it is. I've tried with the two different firmware versions, and you can see it. Actually, the camera is recording now. The screen is off, so you will hear a tune in a bit. There you go. And then in a second, there will be a beep. And between those two sounds, there is no recording. So I don't know why it stops and starts again. But I'll definitely have to contact the supplier of the camera, because this is very unfortunate that you miss 10 seconds every now and then. So this was the original firmware that the camera came with. You can see it, you can pause the video, and this was the second one that I tried with. This one was supplied by the original supplier of the camera, because I wanted to change the speed from miles to kilometers, so they supplied the different one. One thing to note, which I'm a bit curious about, is it changed from hardware version number 3 to 1. But I had the problems with the gap between the two files on both firmwares. So this was my installation of the Koonlong K1S. I hope you enjoyed the video. The last minute here, I'll just show some recordings from the camera, and then thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this inspired you to do something similar. Thanks, bye.